Right then, weekend waffle number 2. I got thinking this week about the closing of the Sony Liverpool studio and thinking back to the Psygnosis days, which the company originally came from. And I got thinking back to some of the Amiga games and the games on the 16-bit formats and how they were such fun, and even the 32-bit PlayStation games were fun games. There were little games which were fun. And I don't think this was exclusive to Psygnosis. It was also, companies like Team 17 that made games like Worm and Alien, Worms even. There's more than one Worm, and Alien Breed. And I've been thinking about how perhaps there's a correlation between the size of a development team and how much passion these games have, how much fun they are to play. I mean, you can tell when you play a game whether the developers have got passion and they've enjoyed making it, or whether it's been a big corporate slog. And I think there's almost a contradiction between consoles having more and more graphical power and the need to have more detailed graphics, so more artwork, better sound, 3D models, more detailed 3D models, and better environments, and that takes time and it takes manpower. So this is exacerbated to an extent by having HD graphics, so 1020p. Final Fantasy XIII was a good example of this, because of having to have graphics which were so detailed to look good at 1020p. The environments were slightly restricted because it would take too long to build a fully immersive environment like the older Final Fantasy games, but to these newer consoles like the PS3 and the Xbox 360. And there seems to be an uncanny valley problem. If you take a game like Quake 2, play it in software mode, or even 3D effects or 3 accelerated mode at 320 by 240, it looks good. Play it at the full resolution on a monitor, it looks terrible, because when you increase the resolution, things look bad. So you bump the resolution up, you've got to bump the quality of the environments. And I think this will be, I don't want to touch on this too much, but on the next series of consoles, with them going up to potentially 4K, which I'm not sure whether that will actually happen, at least not at the start. But the environments will have to be more and more detailed. So there's a horrible contradiction. So better graphics, better consoles, more manpower, less passion in games. Perhaps. Maybe not for all games, but the games take 2-3 years to develop with multiple sub-teams and hundreds of people. So what do we do as I suppose as an industry? Do we say, okay, well, we've got a certain camp of games which we want to look better, but we have to accept that perhaps they will lose some of the spark? Or do we go down the path of pretending it's still the early 90s and having these 16-bit games that only take a team of 3 to 10 people to develop? I mean, I'm just looking at some of the previous games that I've covered. Games like Bloodshot, 3 people developed that game. 1 person doing the programming, 1 person doing the artwork, 1 person doing the sound. Battle Course, 5 people. Sensible Soccer, 7 people. And Alien Breed is 8 people. So, these are similar games that all have a certain spark. Few people. Problem is, as we've seen now from the indie games, it takes a long time to make a game, and certainly a long time to make a good game. So if you've got a team of less than 10 people, you are not going to be able to make a AAA title. So it's almost like, if we want these games, we have to accept digital downloads. We have to accept things like Xbox Live and the iOS store and the Sony store, because I just can't see, for the mass market, these little games selling well. So Alien Breed, as an example, that I yammered on about, has just been released, or is going to be released, on the iOS devices. If this came out in a disc, I can't see the mass market buying it. And the same with the Jeff Minter games, or the Larmasoft games. These came out on iOS, on a a digital only store where you don't have a physical copy. But if they came out in a game and supermarkets, I can't see them selling. So it's almost like there's a tension here between the two. And I think the Android console, the Ouya, is it Ouya, Ouya, however you pronounce it, is an important thing, because it's almost getting back into this homebrew style of developing games. It's almost like, it seems now, if you've got a development team of less than 10 people, you're almost building homebrew games, which is not a bad thing. And I just hope that this fosters a development community of homebrew titles in a way that the Xbox Live community has come about. I mean, a lot of these games, not to knock the developers, but you install and play the trial, you probably uninstall it, but there are some good games on there, so it is worth doing. And I think it fills a need for people like us that like playing retro games, and you don't have to pay a lot of money for them. The developers don't have to spend too long developing for them, and there's passion and fun there, so this is a good thing. But it's digital distribution, so take it or leave it, I suppose. I'll just finish talking a little bit about homebrew. I think it would be easy to say, go out there and make these homebrew games, but developing games is hard. It takes time. You can write a quick 2D game using SDL, get some of the graphics working, but actually making the game, doing the animations, and that's not even the art side, there's the programming side. It takes a lot of time, and I think it's very easy to think, I can build a game and then be disillusioned by it. And I think building a game as one person takes a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and certainly seeing Indie Game the movie with some of these games developed by 1 or 2 people seems to be a very almost soul-destroying experience, by spending all this time, quitting your job and spending 2 years developing a game and then risking everything and hoping it sells on one of these stores. I think it's a very brave thing, but these games, you can just taste smell the passion in them, and I think that's a wonderful thing, but it's not for everyone. Certainly I think building open source games is a good thing, but whether this works on a community thing where open source software, people come and build bits and contribute modules here and there, with a game, would that work? Would it have the cohesion? I'm not sure. I hope that the Android Ouya console proves me wrong. I hope there's some good games for that with passion. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Thanks for hearing me waffle. So if you've got any comments, or you think I'm talking rubbish or can correct anything, then please leave comments below or that way. Thanks for watching.